Hi guys and welcome back. Today I'm going to do a review, comparison, first impressions type video on these two palettes, and this one is by Australis and this one is by Models Prefer. Okay, so you guys are well aware of this one. This one is the Australis AC On Tour Contour and Highlighting Kit. This was praised, I think, last year when it first came out for being sort of like a dupe for the Anastasia one. During my time with this palette, the last shadow, which was the more bronzy type shadow, broke and shattered, and well, I couldn't really salvage it, so that's empty. So I'll be down one shadow or one colour for the comparison, so sorry about that. So that's how it basically looks like. It's just black, sleek, and it's got the well, instructions and well, how to use it basically. And this one is by Models Prefer, and this one is called the Models Prefer Contour Collection Ultimate Highlighting and Contouring Palette with Mirror. Emphasis on the mirror. So you've got 3 highlighting shades, 3 contouring shades, and a step-by-step instruction booklet inside. Oh, okay, they weren't kidding, they actually do have a booklet. And this is the palette itself. I honestly thought it was going to be a matte finish, but yeah, I'm not entirely a big fan of like really shiny black, but it doesn't look like it's a fingerprint magnet, so that's good. And it's also got basically the face chart at the back, and it feels a bit heavier than the Australis one. And yeah, there's the mirror. Hope I don't blind you. So this one is by Australis, this one is by Models Prefer, and they honestly look like the same exact colour. I would say the Models Prefer one is a little bit more chalky, a little bit more white based, but otherwise they look almost exactly the same. Okay, so now we've got the yellow powders, the banana powders. So this one is again by Australis and that one is by Models Prefer. Again, they look very, very similar. Honestly, I think they're the exact same colour. Yeah, I can't really tell the difference between the two. Okay, so we're now on the third colour. So again, Australis, Models Prefer. They look identical really. I'd only say this one's a little bit more salmon coloured compared to this one, but otherwise in terms of like shimmer and everything, they look exactly alike. Okay, so now moving on to the contour colour. So this is the first colour on the second row of both palettes. So this one is by Australis, that one is by Models Prefer. As you can see, the Australis one is definitely much darker compared to the Models Prefer one. And honestly, I think the Models Prefer one kind of looks a bit pinky toned, which is quite odd. For the Australis one, in the palette, it looks more neutral. Okay, so now we're on the second colour on the second row. Again, Australis, Models Prefer. They're both more ashy compared to the other colours in the palette. Again, Australis is definitely much more pigmented compared to the Models Prefer one. Okay, so this is the last colour from the palette. This one is by Models Prefer. Again, the one from my Australis palette broke, so I don't have it to show you. But this is definitely a bronzier shade, so if you guys are looking for a bronzer colour, this would be the one. Okay, so those are the swatches, and I'm going to start applying these products onto my face to show you a side-by-side comparison. Obviously I'm not going to be able to try out all the shades, but I'm going to try and pack on as much colour on my face. I'm going to bronze first, so considering the Australis palette I don't have that actual bronzing colour, I'm just going to head and just use the first colour from the first row. I do have to say though that the Models Prefer one feels a lot creamier, like the texture of the powder, it feels creamier. So just general bronze on the face, and it actually applies a lot more ash on the skin, well at least on my skin tone it looks a little bit more ash. Okay, on the other side I've got a very similar powder brush, and I'm going to take the first colour from the Australis palette and do the same onto this side. This one is definitely darker compared to the Models Prefer one, but overall, like on the skin, it looks pretty much similar. Okay, next I'm going to contour like my cheeks and everything, so I'm just going to show you guys how this works. So I only dipped my brush really lightly into that third colour, and it's not really showing up. So I'm just building it up. Like, it's a very, very subtle contour. Even in person it looks quite subtle. This is something that I wouldn't really necessarily like. I'd probably build it up a bit more if I'm going for a really dramatic contour, and you know, if I'm going out, I generally like a harsher contour, or more prominent I should say. So that was 3 layers, just to get that much. Most people would be happy with that, but for those of you that really like a sharp contour line, you probably need to build it up. Okay, back to the Australis one. So this one can look a bit too like chalky or ashy if you apply it a bit too much. So that was just one dip of my brush. I didn't really swirl it, I just dipped it like that, and I just, you know, blend like that. And as you can see, that's 3 layers, that's just one, and yeah, that's just the pigmentation. I'm going to use one side of the Beauty Blender for the yellow powder, the banana powder. Just going to really press it in there, and then start dabbing it underneath the eyes. Actually, I can actually use the palette now. So we'll see how it actually applies wet. Applies. So moving on to the other side of the Beauty Blender, I'm going to take the yellow powder from the Australis one and just pack it on. You know what guys, the Models Prefer one actually looks a little bit more yellow compared to the Australis one once applied wet with a sponge. Like, they look very, very similar on camera, but in person I can definitely see this one's a little bit more yellow, so I don't know, I like more yellow. So I'm just going to use this small brush, and I'm going to use the Models Prefer one's very powdery, that colour there. You know what, the one from Australis looks chunkier, like the glitter particles once blended in, it looks chunkier, whereas the one from Australis, Models Prefer, sorry, it's finer. Okay, so I've done the rest of my face, and honestly, looking at myself now, both sides look identical in terms of like the highlighting and the contouring. Very, very similar. I know that they're, I think they're both the same price actually, from Priceline. I do have to say that the highlighting shades from this side are much, much better compared to this one. I find that the highlighting shades from this side, like the highlighting shimmery one, chunkier glitter, and the yellow powder is not as yellow compared to this side. I also have noticed that this side tends to be a little bit more cakey if you apply a bit too much, and I did pack it on using the sponge for both sides, and this side it looks a bit cakey, but I had to just spray a little bit more of setting spray on that and it got rid of that, whereas with this one, from the get-go, it wasn't cakey at all. That's my review comparison. At this point, I would say the Models Prefer one is more aimed for people with a lot fairer complexion, whereas the Australis one, light medium like complexion. So yeah, there you guys go. Again, this is a first impression swatch type video. I will do a proper review on the blog probably in a week or 2, so definitely check that out. I will link it if it's already up. Yeah, but so far I think the highlighting shades are great for the Models Prefer, for Australis, contour definitely. So there you guys go. Hopefully you found this useful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye. Hi guys, and welcome back. So I'm going to do a product review on this foundation right here, and this is by CoverGirl, and this is the Ready Set Gorgeous Fresh Complexion foundation.